Mathuratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening everyone. So today is Friday the 5th of March 2021, and this is Ajahn Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So today, early morning, I had a misunderstanding a little bit that Ajahn Peter was supposed to give a talk on the occasion of half moon or quarter moon, and I published that this is going to be in this morning. Unfortunately, it is tomorrow, so he's going to give a talk in Thai at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning rather than this morning. So again, today is a Friday. Hi Margaret, hi Yvonne, hi everyone. So today, before I'm going into any other topics, I would like to answer Yvonne's question, which she posted yesterday. The question on do we meet other people after we passed away, or will we meet someone in the future lives? So first, we have to understand that according to the Buddha's teachings, there is the eons of a lifetime system, and every one of us have reborn in this samsara, this life, birth and death, many times, hundreds and hundreds of times, thousands of times, uncountable. It says that we have been born so many countless lives. And there will be occasions that we come across to the Dhamma, to the teachings, and will put our feet on the path to the liberation. Some would walk on that path for a long and fastest way, so that they will gain the enlightenment as soon as possible. Whereas others, due to their knowledge, due to their conditions, and due to their physicality and opportunities, they may walk slowly. And this is the difference. Someone may have a very good Ferrari that can drive fast, 100 miles per hour, or someone who hasn't got anything and a lack of opportunity, then they may have to walk, which will take a long time. So that's why one of my the teachers, not a short teacher, but I stayed in Thailand for 7-8 years in that temple, where Venerable Lumpur Sot, who was the founder of the Dhammakaya meditation, the crystal meditation. And I stayed there and I practiced and studied there. I became a higher monk, or took a higher ordination in that temple too. And one of the very fascinating teachings that he always emphasized throughout his lifetime, and again he passed away about 60 years ago, but his body is still there for the veneration. And we were living about over 300 or 400 monks at one time. Then we normally go and pay respect to him, or his body and his teachings. So one of his teachings is say that in the worldly life, we have to have the fastest vehicle to arrive at the destination, so that we can get as soon as possible. Whereas in the spiritual journey, all what you need is to learn to stop. The moment when you learn to stop, then you have arrived in that deliverance. So that's why we are all walking on the path to the liberation. But however, on the journey, we cannot liberate immediately. So that's why the past lives that we have lived together, eons of a time, Buddha said that on that basis, all the human beings, not only the human beings, but also all the sentient beings are kind of relatives. We've been relatives in different ways. Like, I was born in Nepal. I never knew about the Scotland. And somehow I became a monk and I went to Thailand and stayed in Thailand. How on earth that I was thinking that I will be ending up being here in Scotland. Yeah? Although, 10 years ago, when I was going through this planning of settling the center and also struggling to my own minds and thoughts that should I stay in Scotland or should I stay in UK and go back to Nepal or go on tour and so on. And that time one of the ladies, those ladies who normally believes in a superstition and also believes in these predictions, suggested me, oh, losing connection. Sorry, I'm using this mobile phone. That's why, because of the internet connection, and still breaking. So sorry. I will speak slowly then. Okay. So at that time, then she went to speak with one of the monks, and he told that in my previous lives, once I was a Scottish soldier. I wonder whether I was fighting against England. Or maybe I was fighting against the Romans at that time. Yeah? But somehow, that was a story I was told. And as a result of that, I will be settling here in Scotland. And somehow her prediction or this monk's predictions came true. And I chose to stay in Scotland. Although in this life I do not have the Scottish accent or Scottish kind of blood, but I love being in Scotland. And I love all the mountains and the rivers, and it's so beautiful, majestic. It's just mesmerizing. So, in a way, previously I was a Scottish soldier. Yeah? How funny it is, isn't it? Meanwhile, and then imagine the place where we are now, this Eastman's cottage here, the big house, and this is the part of the big house in the previously. And later on, as this expense developed, and they divided into different sections and sold it. And we were told that this big house used to be a monastery where monks used to stay. And surprisingly, probably I was a slave at that time, or a service, giving service, or a kitchen worker, or a cleaner at that time. That's how I came back again to stay nearby the same monastery. Well, this is all just coincidence, or because of it meant to be, because of the karma, or because I was here in the past, something like that. Okay, so with this, we were born so distant, so far away, language different, culture different, belief difference, way of life is different, and yet we come across together. And somehow, sometimes we feel, oh, I have seen you before. Oh, it looks like, very familiar, your face. Oh, have I known you before? Like that. But again, remember, sometimes people can pretend in order to come and talk to you and saying, oh, are you a John? Which John? Yeah, like that. There is a possibility of that. But our guts, intuition, we do understand somehow how we are related. There's inner heart suddenly says or connects that, I wonder why I feel so connected with this person. Even we never met before. Even we have never heard about him at all or her about at all. And that is basically suggesting that once in our previous lives, we may have been very close to one another, helping one another. And this is the Buddha's teachings, that in the previous lives, we have lived so many countless lives, and throughout this journey, one way or another, we have been relatives. And that's why those who become so close to us, despite we live so far and wide, and no business to do one another, and yet we become known to one another, helping one another, understanding one another. And that basically, in previous lives, we have been so close to one another, helping one another. And whoever we meet, basically, we have met in the past. And that is the theory here about that how we meet our close friends or relatives in the in future lives. Further on, there is two things to remember here. One, if you dislike that person so dearly, your mind will be always conditioning that I dislike, and I don't want to be. And your mind already conditioning to see him or see her again and again, because you're constantly remembering that. Yeah, remembering that person. And despite you dislike it, that person may well come back. Yeah, or even if we were born in other places, and there is possibility that this person also may reborn in those places and close to you. Okay? So that's the one theory. So that's why whenever you dislike someone, just give him or give her a metta. And then practice of equanimity. Do not generate this hate and then keep that hate with you about that person. You hate, but you are keeping. It's like you dislike this stool, yeah? Or after defecated. You dislike it, but you don't want to flush it away. You want to keep it. Then eventually it brings more stinky. We will be suffering. We will be suffering. So, if you think that you dislike, rather than generating dislike again and again and torturing to ourselves, all what we need to do is, okay, this person is not helpful for me and causing me troubles. Now on, I let you go. But there is no hate. With a compassion, with a kindness. Because and every action that person is doing is, again, that person is causing bad action for themselves. And the result, they will be accepting. They will be responsible for that result. So that's why understanding that, not only that is affecting us, but also affecting them, we simply, with a kindness, with a compassion, let it be. And then, may you be well, may you be happy, that's it. So we are not harboring that concept of that person dislike. And with this, there is a possibility you may meet those persons in the future lives, or even in this life, but the effect of that person's behavior will be lessened or even unnoticed. So that is the one scenario, one case. And another one case, suppose you like it, you love to be. And in those cases, then again, you need to make this so-called resolution, or the doing things together with open mind and open heart, without expecting anything return. And you have a resolution that, okay, in the future lives, may I have an opportunity to be with this person, with that person, so that we can be happy. And after you have made those resolutions, you are working with that. So that's why making a resolution is one of the very hardest part to practice in Buddhism, because it needs wisdom. So first, it needs wisdom or right understanding. And then we have a clear conscience that why we want to be. It should be beyond our emotional attachment. It should be beyond our emotional craving. It should be in a pure love, okay, pure understanding. And that's why it starts from the panya, the wisdom. And once you have a wisdom, you need to be truthful with that. And you're working with that truth. That is, I have made this resolution and I'm working with it. Despite of, doesn't matter how difficult life may become, I will be with you. So that's why in English there is a saying is that friends in need is friend indeed, right? So that's the same thing. And we will be standing beside of that person, doesn't matter in which circumstances. And with this, we have a persistently ability to be patient enough to be in every environment. Meanwhile, ability to sacrifice. And when we have these four qualities together, and in future life, there is a high probability. Okay, I can't definitely say that it will be, but there is a high probability that we will be coming back again in future lives together. So this is the second way of looking at it. Okay, so with this concept, what we can see that there is a possibility of meeting our relatives in the future, whom we have lived together in this life, as we all become members, or all become known to one another and related to one another in different ways. That basically suggests that in our previous lives we had been friends, families, and brothers and sisters, or a husband and a wife, like that. This relationship we had been together, and as a result we are here. So that's why it is the concept that Buddha said we are all equal. There is no difference between me and them. We are all have a similar bloods, and we are all relatives. And with this, also seeing that we are not harming to anybody at all, and we are respecting their values, and we are respecting their presence, and so on. So, like we are one family. Like, think about a family. When we are members of one family, then we will be looking after one another so well. So similarly, we all were one time or many times been together. The only difference is this time we cannot remember that we've been. We have been friends, we have been relatives, we have been brothers and sisters. And that quality we haven't attained it yet. But having said that, it doesn't mean that there aren't people who could relate to the past lives, an ability to pinpoint or recognize in this life that where were you before and what were you doing before. And there's similar, there are few scholars been collecting the informations from the children who could remember the past lives, and they are or from that records what we can see that in previous lives there were family members of this and of that. They could remember their family members, and sometimes they were reborn in the same village, other times they were born in far distance, and yet they still remember. Okay? They still remember. So that's why all the problem that we have at the moment is that we don't have any device to track where we have been and who we are. Yeah? Hopefully, in the future, some scientists would be able to, put the chips in our consciousness so that they can track how many lives they have been reborn and then where they are going to be. So that's why there is a possibility that we will meet our own friends in the future. And another important factor here, that the night when the Buddha gained the enlightenment, so after after he left the palace at the age of 29, he practiced 6 years in different institutes, in different philosophies, and practiced extensively the meditation, inner journey, and with that, he said, even a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Venerable Anuruddha, who could remember thousand-folds lifetime in the past and thousand-folds lifetime in the future in thousand-fold world system. Now imagine how many times we may have reborn. Okay? So with that, what he is suggesting that on the night when the Buddha gained the enlightenment, the first knowledge he acquired was called the Pubbe. So the previous lives. Pubbe Nivasanu Satiyana. So the knowledge about the previous lives, that where, in which state, in which way were we born. And here is not just a one person, but Buddha was able to comprehend the entire sentient being's life cycle from the past. Which name, which culture, which situation, how much, like that. So that's the first knowledge he acquired. That's called Pubbe Nivasanu Satinyana. Jnana means the knowledge. Sati means being aware. Avasa means living. Pubbe means the previous. So that was the first knowledge he acquired. And that also suggests that how many lives we've been in different names. And the second knowledge he acquired was Chutupada Yana. Yana, the knowledge. Upada is arising. And Chuti, this, dying. He was able to comprehend the lives of all the sentient beings, those who are going to die in this life and where they will be reborning again. In which condition they are going to reborn. In which way they are going to reborn. So he was able to see this future life coming. And this is the second knowledge he gained. And yet he wasn't called the Buddha. He wasn't enlightened yet. At this moment, all what he saw was the cause and then the effect. So there was a past and there is a future. So he was seeing that. And with that seeing, this is a cause, this is a result, he realized that what is making this, what is breezing this past to the future, and that was all our defilements, the kilesas, called asavas, or the tents, dusts. This is the breeze. This is raga, dvesa, moha, or the greed, hatred, and delusion, is being a breeze to connect to the next life. So as a result of that, he was able to see this breeze completely and able to break this breeze. And that's how he gained the enlightenment, breaking the born and reborn. So there is no continuum anymore. But as long as we haven't attained this or haven't understood the mechanical system of this bridge, we have to reborn again and again in future lives. And there is a possibility that we may come back again and we know them, or we meet again and again, and we feel so connected with our previous friends and relatives. And this is quite a probability. The only difference would be every action that we perform that defines our future. So not only our action, but also everyone, whatever they do, their future also defined by their actions. And that will be the only thing that makes unsure that we will be coming back to the same place at the same time and will be remembering it. But if we can develop our insight, then there is a possibility of a recognition and becoming a friends once again. So I think I have answered on that question enough for you to understand, everyone. And if it's still unclear, then we can discuss further on. Meanwhile, anyone who has got any questions related to the Buddhism or anything that you have a questions, then I will try my best to answer. So I end here for tonight's reflection and my thoughts on that question from my knowledge, and may you all be well and happy. And in a few moments time we're going to have evening chanting and guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night and see you shortly. Thank you. Satu.